Alright, so welcome to our videos on financial maths. In this video we're just going to go quickly through the theory behind financial maths and behind interest before we jump straight into the maths, because I remember when I started anyway I had no idea what any of this stuff was, so it's nice to get someone to kind of explain that to you before you jump into the heavy maths. So it'll definitely stand to you. If you already are comfortable with the idea of interest and how all of this works, then you can just skip ahead and go to the next video. But otherwise, I'd definitely recommend sticking around and watching this video. So we're going to talk about the basics, basically about how money works and how banks make money. So for example, if you borrow €1,000 from a bank, you don't just pay €1,000 back to the bank. You have to pay a little bit extra, and that's called interest. So you have to pay the extra bit is called interest. And generally interest is given as a percentage. So say for example, you have to pay the €1,000 back plus you have to pay, say, 5% extra or 5% interest, all right? So in that case, you're going to have to pay back €1,000 plus then 5% of 1,000. Yeah, so that's the total amount you're going to have to pay back. And 5% of 1,000, I'm just going to draw an arrow over here, that's equal to 0.05 times 1,000. So that's how you get percentages of numbers, and that's just going to give us €50. So that means the total amount you have to pay back to the bank is €1,050. So does that make sense? So that's how banks make money, is that they loan out money, or they give you a loan of money and then you have to pay it back with interest. So that's the idea. But that's not all there is to interest. So interest is generally charged annually. So I'll go down here so we can make an example. So I'm going to say interest charged annually, and that means every year. So charged annually or every year. So what that means is, say if you get a loan from the bank of €1,000 and you don't pay it back after 1 year, you'll owe them $1,050. But after 2 or 3 years, the number keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So you have to pay off your loans as quickly as possible, because interest keeps applying and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And also it's compound interest, so it gets bigger even faster than you think. So we'll see that now in a second in our example. So interest charged annually every year. So we'll look at this example here. So I'm going to say that we borrow 1,000 from the bank. There's a 5% interest rate, I'll say just per year. So generally banks will do things per year. And you don't pay it back for, we'll say, 3 years. Okay? Now the question is, how much do we owe? So I'll just say owe and a question mark. After 3 years, we bought €1,000 and that increased by 5% every year. How much do we owe after 3 years? So we'll just go through this step by step, is the easiest way. So we're going to say that after 1 year, so after our first year, we're going to have to owe as much as we did up at the top question, because that's basically what happened there. So it's plus 5%. So it's going to be 1,050 that we owe the bank. Okay? After 2 years, how much do we owe the bank? So a mistake that a lot of people will make. So they'll say that after 2 years, that we owe the bank 1,050 plus another 50. Okay, but that's not how compound interest works. So you don't take 5% of the original loan amount. What you do is you take 5% of how much you owe now. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So it's going to be 1,050 plus, so again it's going to be 0.05 or 5%, that's the same thing, except it's going to be multiplied by 1,050. So it's going to be multiplied by how much you owe at the moment, which means that this number keeps getting bigger, quicker and quicker and quicker. So it doesn't just get bigger by 50 every year, it gets bigger by a different amount every year, and you end up with an exponential thing where you're going to owe a lot of money if you don't pay it back soon. So that answer is going to give us 1102.5. So that's how much we owe after 2 years. And after 3 years, how much do we owe? That's what the question is asking us. After 3 years. Okay, and we're going to do a little trick here as well. So we're not just going to say 1102.5 plus and then our interest. There's a quicker way of doing it. So I'm going to say it's 1102.5, 1102 0.5 multiplied by 1.05, okay? And you can check this yourself. If you multiply 1050 by 1.05, you'll end up with the same answer. You'll end up with 1102.5. So if you multiply this here, multiply it by 1.05, you will get, again, is equal to, wrong one there, this number here. Okay, so it's just a little trick because you multiply it by 1, which is just multiplying it by itself, and then multiplying it by an extra 0.5. So it's the same thing as adding it to 0.05 of itself. It's just one line, so it's a lot quicker. And I think I've talked about that enough. So our final answer is 1157.625, which is just going to give us 1157.63, so we round up. And that's how much we're going to owe the bank after, sorry, it's a terrible euro sign, after 3 years, 1157.63. So hopefully you can see that 1157.63, that's bigger than if we were just to add 50 every time. So remember I said up here, say after 1 year it was 50, but then after 2 years you don't just add another 50, it's not just plus 50. So that doesn't happen because this number changes all the time. So if you were to just add plus 50 every time, your final answer would be, this is a little bit broken. Sorry, your final answer would be 1150 euro, okay? So as you can see, compound interest is always going to make it bigger. It's only bigger by 7.63 here, but if you were to take it another few years, it'd be a lot bigger than the bottom number, all right? So just get rid of that. And that's the basics of compound interest and of how kind of money works, how banks make money. That's just quite basically going through it so we can see every step. But in the next video, we're going to look at a formula that can just calculate all of this in one step. This is just to get you guys used to the idea of it. So yeah, that's it for compound interest. In the next videos, we're going to look at the financial maths formula basically, and that's going to be the basis of everything we do after that. So next video is really important. We'll see you then. Don't forget to like and subscribe and tell your friends if you find the videos helpful.